How do y'all feel about professional athletes or idiots on the podcast talking about a sport they didn't play?
Oh, you're
Great
talking about
segue.
Thank you.
Nah, man, don't hype her up for that.
Thank
I I don't I don't like it when people like. I think it's good for like our entertainment, but I hate it when it gets outside of that. Like when some like podcasters or personalities and stuff actually think they know what the heck they talk about, especially if they never played the game. Like Stephen A, I can't stand it when he talks about college football. That annoys the crap out of me because first off, he doesn't follow it. He's never played football, and he starts talking like that. It annoys the crap. Like, you at least gotta follow it. You at least gotta follow it. But like to not follow it and not play it is two things I can't stand. That's why that's why you never hear Swagoo talking about NBA. He's not gonna get into it. He could probably talk a little bit about it, but he's not gonna get into it. I respect it.
I've heard him talk about it.
I'm
It's
almost
probably
positive.
beautiful.
I'm almost positive that Stephen A. Smith follows college football at least to a degree.
To a degree.
Just because you don't like his take, don't mean
No, that's to a
he might just have terrible
degree.
takes.
Yeah, that's to a
But
minimum
also-
degree.
But also, he wasn't a professional athlete, so like he doesn't count towards the conversation anyway.
I think, but isn't that what the question? Here, go get him.
No, not just like if you played in high school. Like, not. I'm talking about professional athletes on these professional broadcasts. The reason I asked this question was because today I was listening to what was that? Speak for yourself, and they were talking about they're talking about the Steelers. They were on the NFL segment, and Paul Pierce was on there,
Oh god.
and we all know Paul Pierce.
That's why I stopped watching that show. I ain't gonna lie.
Because of Paul Pierce?
I don't watch it often, but I didn't have anything to watch. So Paul Pierce gets to talking, and he was just reading off of his script, and he was just reading off of his script, and just like blurting out things that were like, yeah, you don't have any context of like what you're actually talking about. So I feel like if you're not gonna contribute to the segment other than like talking to the rest of the panel like you're talking to your bros, then I don't think that you're really helping push any sports conversation.
I don't think.
But
Go ahead.
But on the other hand, you have people like Shannon Sharp, who can talk about like at least he can talk about basketball in a way that's like compelling enough for you to follow what he's saying and not like just dismiss his points just because he's just a dumb football player. He don't know anything about basketball. But like I was watching Paul Pierce and I just had to get that off.
I mean, I kind of agree with you. Like, you would think like the big three sports would be kind of universal, but it's like you said, it's like basketball players jumping in and NFL topics. It's just like you have zero idea what you're talking about. You probably watched Sports Center this morning before you came into work, and you just get a little base knowledge around something, and you're like not giving any details. You're not swaying anybody. You're just really up there blabbing.
Sometimes they suck at their own sport.
Exactly.
Does Dan Orlovsky count? Did he include that?
I mean, he only talks about football though.
He
actually has some pretty good takes. He just gets a little sensitive about quarterbacks.
I was gonna say with Paul Pierce, he's not a good basketball talker either. I think he's just not good at his job.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say it, but
I think LaShawn McCoy is the same exact way. Like LaShawn McCoy is a Paul Pierce of football, in my opinion. He just be talking.
He talks like us. He talks like he never played professional football.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't, he says the same things that we say. Like you should have a more in-depth knowledge of your sport.
I'd rather listen to y'all than Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce and LaShawn McCoy talk like somebody's uncle at a cookout.
Do you think that it matters like what position or like for basketball, like the style of player that they were? Like for instance, LaShawn McCoy, he just played running back. He just need to know how to do two things: block sometimes and run. And Paul Pierce was more of a ISO player, get a bucket. So like he didn't really have to facilitate an offense like a Dan Orlovsky. He's at least a quarterback. He knows what everybody's supposed to do.
You saying like
To,
you
to,
think
to
you're
answer
saying oh my
to answer your question, I don't think it matters. Wait, what's the question again? I'm trying to answer it correctly.
I was
I,
just saying, do you think it matters on the type of player in basketball or the position player in football?
Well, the original question.
Um, the OG question was, do you think that the do you think that professional athletes that are talking about other sports that they did not play?
Oh, yeah. So I don't think it matters, and that kind of answers both questions. Because I mean, we're doing it, and we haven't played none of them. I just think if you watch it and it's clear that you watch it and understand it and analyze it, then
mhm.
you can speak on it. But if you don't, then you just shouldn't talk about it at all.
I
That's
think
Yeah, because
I think
uh,
I was just gonna say I think also too is like the scale, like what we're doing now, not to diminish what we're doing, but at this stage in the business, like we're just talking like bros. When you get up there and you're talking on national television, you have to say something meaningful.
yeah, because that's their
it's a
job.
full-time job. Yeah, like
Yeah,
they
like
do
you're
they do
getting paid to
homework.
like
They get
do
paid a
crap.
good bit too.
Yeah, to do that. But like even like I guess it's kind of even going in, even like all of us, like some of us have played the sport, and even if we didn't play the sport, we like Tarek said, we understand it. Like we have the IQ behind it. Like we can analyze, we understand what's going on. Well, Sean McCoy and Paul Pierce had played the sport, but I honestly feel like they weren't high IQ players. I think they're just talented. And you can,
That's kind of what my
yeah, and you see that, like you see and understand that when they start talking about the sport, like okay, like that was a dumb thing.
it's just like
Like
it feels surface level.
yeah, like a high school could get that tape. Somebody who just got introduced to the game can make that type of tape.
Even when they're like Sean McCoy, even when he's talking about football or plays from a running back perspective, he still will just say things like when they're in the zone or when they're in the man, blah 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 blah. But like, even though I don't really like Acho, at least Acho will break it down even more
Yeah,
into knowledge that I've never heard of, like in the 3-2 cut in blah 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 type of play. Like that's what I like hearing. I like hearing people know what they're talking about.
but I chose my issue with Acho though is that he wasn't as successful doing that stuff, and he analyzed it like he's freaking Tom Brady. Like, and I know we do that same thing too, but it's weird. Like, cause we never got the chance to actually do it, and then come up short. He's done it. He's came up short, and he's coming back and talking like he succeeded at. That's what
I
bothers
mean,
me
you
the
don't have
most.
to be a Hall of Famer to know ball,
But
Yeah,
still,
especially
he
that
he
way.
criticizes players. He's so critical of players and coaches. Like
I mean,
like
knows
he
what
knows
he's
it's not that
looking at
difficult.
though. He knows what he's looking at.
Yeah, but
Like you
he
said,
didn't do
you
it.
don't like him, but he has at least an analytical mind and he could break stuff down film wise or without film. He don't have to be a Hall of Famer to give those type of takes.
I don't know, man. It's like if I'm baking a cake, right? And I bake that cake and I bake it poorly, and I'm like, dang, man, I failed at that thing. And then I go and I'm trying to you about to bake a cake and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, man, that's wrong, bro. You can't do it like that. Like that's terrible. That's terrible. And I don't know what a good cake looks like. I ain't never cooked
But
a good cake.
Well, if that's the logic, then a lot of these head coaches shouldn't be head coaches.
Hmm? Yeah.
who do y'all think are some good examples of that? Other than I guess Shannon Sharp will be the first one I can think of.
Like good examples of what?
Good examples of professional athletes that talk about the sport or a sport that they didn't play that are good at debating it or talking about it.
Shannon Sharp, I'll give. He doesn't do it all the time because he's mainly around for football. But when he does talk other sports, it's not awful. Like Ryan Clark.
Mm,
Um,
Ryan Clark annoys me with football though.
it's
Love
in
him.
the women,
Yeah.
like Mina Kimes, like she gives some good breakdowns. She never played football.
Mhm.
But I mean, Joy Taylor used to be kind of annoying, so I don't know.
Athletes don't talk about multiple sports
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's
I
not.
can't think of nobody.
It's
because
not
they're
a. It's not common.
because they have like people that go around like each segment they'll switch it up. Like Shannon only did it because he was with Skip, and they didn't switch up. They just talked. They just them two sat at the table and chopped it up for 3 hours, 3.5 hours, and then like first things first, don't switch it up. But none of them actually played the sport. But like first take has different people. Um, speak is just not a good show.
Ever since they changed it around, I'm telling you, I stopped watching it.
Yeah, I mean Paul Pierce is not good, and
What Paul Pierce say? I'm tired of getting a taste of him, man.
Come on, bro.
That was crazy.
what
Come
the
on.
what's the other dude's name? Like Keaton?
Yeah.
Keyshawn, he's. I feel like he's okay, but
Yeah,
like
he's like
that's the ceiling.
he's nowhere near good enough to carry a show though.
Who
Yeah.
is it? He played for Ohio State. What was his name? Chris. Shoot, he's wide receiver.
Chris Carter?
Chris Carter. Chris Carter talks about basketball too, doesn't he? I'm pretty sure I've heard him
I
talk
don't
about
know what
basketball.
network.
He used
I
to
think
be
I've
on
heard.
First Things First.
Yeah, he did pretty good at basketball when I've heard him. Like, at first I thought he's basketball when he's what he's talking about. So he's pretty good.
I didn't
I
watch
think Jay Williams is pretty good at doing football.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I was like, why am I listening to this man? Just read stats off a sheet.
What?
All right.
This is-
Let's. All right. Do y'all think that the NFL can steal Christmas Day from the NBA?
Yeah, we could talk about that and combine it with I saw the other one that was talking about ratings going down or something like that. I think
Ye-
I think
one
yeah, I put him in there to go hand in hand.
well for me, I think to answer the question that Jamie said, yes, absolutely. Absolutely 100%. Just because NFL is bigger, much bigger than NBA. I think at this point the NBA is uh it's going downhill a lot, to be honest. One, because the players aren't playing. You don't know when they're gonna play. Uh two, again, we always talk about it. The season is just too long. And then they don't have like LeBron and like Kobe were carrying the NBA for a long time. And then Steph came along and when about time Kobe was leaving, Steph was coming along and was carrying it with LeBron. And there's nobody else less like that that's kind of getting people to debate. If that makes sense. Because nobody really cares to debate about anybody else. Um, but all that to say, I think the NBA's ratings are going down because they still are on cable, which is weird.
Can
Like TNT and ESPN. Like people are watching the games illegally. Like
can
that's the reason why they're not getting any viewership. And
can I ask a
I don't like that the NFL has all these different games on all these different apps, like Paramount,
I don't like that either.
Yeah.
Talk, and all that stuff. But I think
Amazon Prime.
it's better than cable because at least I got those apps
I
already.
mean, it works though.
I don't
Can
have cable.
can I ask a question? Just to derail it, just for a second, we can get back on. But how do y'all, especially you who really follow basketball, how do y'all feel about if the season was reduced to these hundreds? You know, how many games is it right now? 80 something? 82?
You too.
82
Yeah.
games to like the amount they do for college, like 20.
I mean, honestly, I don't think it'll change anything
You know?
too
So I was
much.
thinking like, 'cause I feel like one of the reasons why NFL is like successful is because in NFL and college, why they're successful is because they play what 12 to 17 games a year, and there's one a week. They play each week, and so they have to give their all that week. I feel like if you're playing, 82 games, and these players play like 3 games a week, first quarter, if they can feel, you can as an athlete, like whether you're about to lose or win a game. Like you just know, like after the first half, you pretty much know you about to win this game, and you start going half speed. I feel like if you reduce that a little bit more, they give more effort. Because like
I
even
mean,
if you watch college and stuff, you see them giving effort.
yeah, it would help, but again, it would depend on when they do their season because the first half of their season is during football season anyway.
Mm,
So if they shorten the season and then it started in February, it
that'd be it.
might be better.
If they started on Christmas Day,
I was just about to say that.
if they started on
Oh,
Christmas Day, if Christmas Day was opening night,
Mhm.
like a double like branded thing, I think that would help. 20 some odd games is way too short. Like
yeah.
they're getting paid way too much to play 25 games. But if you do, I think 50 is like a really ripe number. Like 82 is like back in the day, it was cool because basketball was more of a novelty type of a sport. So like you had to like basketball to watch basketball. So like now it's so star driven that like Reek said, you don't know when your favorite player is going to play. And for for people who like players like Kawhi or Paul George or Embiid, it's like I'm only going to watch them 40 times anyway. At least give them a chance to play every single game. Like it's just hard. It's just hard. It's hard being a fan of a sport that looks like that it's dying in front of you. Also, I think to go back to the question, I for sure think the NFL can take it away from
Yeah.
on the basis of what you were saying, Tobias, about the importance of games just because of the scarcity of it. And I think like NBA on Christmas is always going to be a good thing because you can schedule that. The thing about football is some of these teams be really good some year and they be really trash the next year. I think this year, I forgot the Texans play somebody.
Play us.
Yeah, so like in theory, at the beginning of the season, you if you had to guess where the Texans and Ravens would be at Christmas, you would be like, "Oh, this game is about to
It's
go.
about to be yeah.
It's about to go up." And on the flip side, you got Kansas
That's gonna be a
City.
blowout.
You got Kansas City. I don't know about that, but you got Kansas City versus Pittsburgh, and the way that Kansas City looks like they're somewhat skating by, and Pittsburgh also doesn't score touchdowns. That might be the game of the day. Other than watching, I don't know if Devin Booker will play against the Nuggets. I don't know
Uh,
if Jamal Murray's going to play. I don't know if KD's going to play. But when you
Also,
turn on the football game, you know what you're about to get
also Christmas is still the beginning of the NBA season.
in
But
theory.
if there's a Christmas game, that means that's the end of the NFL season, which is like way more important than a Christmas Day game for the NBA, which is like game 20 out of
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
um
know, man. Just
Especially with playoff implications and all that going in with football.
yeah. But
People
I
are
would
making
it's
that
like
much every
let
it's a
day.
let let football have the winner. I mean, let football have the fall, and then
it's a
but
even starting on Christmas Day. It don't have to be Christmas. I think like if you make it a 2 day thing, like Christmas Day and Christmas Eve is like all NBA. Like I feel like NBA could start to
dude,
take over Christmas. Like,
the
that'd be
NFL got
nice.
Christmas Day and they Thursday night football and Sunday.
No,
So like,
Saturday too.
do they?
They have that was Christmas on Wednesday, right? So
It
like
was on Wednesday.
Wednesday, they have Thursday, they have
Thursday.
Saturday and Sunday.
Like that's crazy, bro.
yeah.
I
And
was
then
thinking about that. But go ahead. Go ahead.
what Jalen was
Another.
saying too with the players, um, the what helps football, and then baseball too. I think it helps baseball too, even though baseball has a lot of games, is people have favorite teams instead of favorite players. Kind of what Jalen was saying, and you're more emotionally invested into your favorite team than you are your favorite player.
True.
Because as long as your favorite player is putting up 30 and 15 a night or 30 and 12 a night, you
Yeah,
don't
you
really
can care less if you lose.
yeah.
Hmm.
And then especially if he's on a bad team and you know they're not gonna make the playoffs or something like that, you don't really care. But in football, if your team loses, like if you're a fan of the team, then you care if they lose because that means they're not going to make the playoffs or they may fall down in the standings or something like that. So like having favorite teams is way better than having favorite players. It gives you more. It gets you more invested into the game. I always tell that to people who say, "How do I get into a new sport?" I said the first things first is watch it a little bit and choose a favorite team. Once you choose a favorite team, that's how you get into a new sport.